Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're all enjoying your Thursday. Hey, I'm going to give you my Colts prediction for the week. They're going to absolutely lose to the Jaguars, uh, in my opinion. And I think you're going to see them continue to lose, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm looking at their last 5 games of the season: Jags, Seahawks, 49ers, Jags, and Texans. Uh, I think the only I won't even say for sure win, but I think the only likely win on this is the Seahawks. They're going to lose to the 49ers. Uh, they're probably going to lose both Jags game, and they're probably going to lose to the Texans. That means they're not in the playoffs. But look, I like making predictions week by week because things can change. So let's just deal with this week specifically. Well, DeForest Buckner still injured, which means they're not going to stop the run. Uh, and their defense is obviously playing a lot better now. They also have what's his name, Jacoby, was it Myers, or where he's been a stud wide receiver this year. I think he might be a rookie, or he's still pretty young. I don't really know much about the Jags, but bear with me, okay? There's not Etienne is one of the best running backs in the game. He's almost averaging 5 yards a carry, 5 touchdowns on the season, almost 900 yards, add another 2 touchdowns in receiving. Uh, the Colts are going to struggle. I don't see the Jags winning. Once again, I just don't see the Jags winning. Excuse me, the Colts winning. The Colts are going to lose against the Jags. Um, and they'll do that until Buckner comes back. I said this the last video, I'll say it again. Well, last video, whenever I talked about the Colts was last week, but for all the talent Glover Stewart has, uh, he sucks at stopping the run. And he's kind of just, I don't think he's really that impactful. Matter of fact, I think maybe his last contract we overpaid him. But you put him with Buckner, who's a stud, who's an absolute stud. Uh, he combined, they do a good amount of damage on the front line. Another thing, had Buckner not had the neck injury, he was probably on pace to end up with. I haven't looked at his stats in a while. I think he's at like 4 or 5 sacks on the season right now. He was probably going to get somewhere between 8 and 10 sacks on the season. He was our best pass rusher at defensive tackle. Like I said, a real stud. He's our best defensive player. With him gone, it's a problem. And I read something, he may be gone for 3 weeks. I don't know if that's true, but if so, that means he may not even be considered until the 49ers. And if that's the case, he may not play until the Jags. If they lose all 3 games, they'll be out of the playoffs by then. So they probably wouldn't even play him in week 17. And they probably wouldn't even play him in week 18. Not unless he was just calling the shots and they were letting him do his thing. But yeah, that's the reality. I don't follow football much or basketball since my dad died, but let's be honest, they're going to lose to the Jags. I think the Seahawks is the only for sure bet, and I'm not even that confident in that game. I watched the Seahawks play, was it a week or two ago? And that defense was moving fast. You could see the levels in defense with your eyes. Some teams are just flying around the field. You see this with the Chiefs. You see this with the Broncos. There's some defenses that are just flying. The Colts, they look like they got semen on their feet. They're not flying around. Okay? The 49ers? Are you fucking kidding me? They're going to lose that game. I mean, what are the 49ers? The only way the 49ers won't win that game is that the only way the 49ers aren't going to win that game is if some weird ass noise, some lady. The only way the 49ers are going to lose that game is if they've pulled their starters by this point in the season, because they've already locked up the playoff spot. Right? Once again, do you see them stopping Brock Purdy, who never turns the ball over, always throws touchdowns, and Christian McCaffrey, who's just, since the day he was in the league from rookie to now, has just been a stud? Absolutely not. That's the answer to that. On the backside, they're still a pretty kick-ass defense. By the way, this is DeForest Buckner's old team. Nah, that's a for sure loss. That right there is a loss. And then in week 17, Jags again? No. I mean, once again, things could change, really, right? Maybe by this point, if the Colts have lost 3 in a row, maybe the Jags have locked first place in the playoffs, so maybe they can set their starters. Okay, well, maybe the Colts win that game. I don't see them winning the Jags games. I don't see them beating the Texans in week 18. Once again, why? Well, you saw it in the game against the Texans, which I knew, which is why I told you they were going to lose. They have the best defense in the league, but specifically, they have probably the best pass rush team in the league, and probably top 5 individually best pass rushers with little Willie Anderson Jr. out there playing. So, yeah, that's pretty much that. I don't see it, man. It doesn't look good to me. See all the YouTuber guys, well, you know, they're getting pretty good, I think. Dude, they've lost 3 of their last 4 games. Let's not spoon feed the reality here. 3 of their last 4. So if this was the mountaintop, this is the hole they're falling off, the cliff they've fallen off. I told a guy the other day, by the way, didn't believe me, but I'll tell you the same example here. Imagine this. Imagine in any of these games, let's say Jonathan Taylor comes out, has 125 yards a game, or once, maybe twice, it doesn't matter, just use this as an example, but scores no touchdowns. Well, then you got your average quarterback, Daniel Jones, back there, who's struggling to even make 200 yards a game in passing. Well, if he's only getting those numbers, that almost always means the Colts aren't scoring touchdowns in the pass game, and more importantly than all of those things, they're not moving the first down marker, aka called the chains. And none of those things are happening. You're only 100% basically reliant on your defense. But in this example, Jonathan Taylor has no impact on the game. He has huge numbers, but no impact on the game, because there's no impact being generated anywhere. And I say this all the time because being honest, no one in the NFL fucking kicks field goals anymore. I hear a lot of bitching about Colts, bad ref calls, this and that. But let's be honest, if the Colts would fucking kick a field goal, just like all the other 31 teams or however many in the NFL, you'd actually fucking win a game. How many times this year has the Colts been on the 40, 30-yard line, fourth and forever, and go for it on the fourth, fell the fourth down, even though they have one of the highest success rates in the NFL. They could have been kicking field goals this entire season and winning games. Ever since the last NFL rule change happened, just like they did in the NBA and destroyed the NBA product, they've taken the rules, which used to be fairly balanced. They favored the offense in the hopes that we have higher scoring games because they say, well, that's more exciting to watch. Maybe, but in the process, you destroyed defense in the NFL. You've destroyed it. And with those rule games driven by all this AI analytic nonsense, no one's kicking field goals anymore. By the way, this might actually be why kickers can't hit the broadside of a barn anymore all suddenly. In the 90s, you paid a kicker $20 million, he'd go out there 100% of the time and fucking hit a field goal. Now, you send your guy out there, these young guys nowadays, it's almost like it's not a serious job anymore in the NFL. Well, it's probably because no one's really practicing kicking anymore because no one's fucking kicking the ball. So it creates a slippery slope. Anyway, Jags beat the Colts Sunday, week 14. But I don't think the pitcher looks very good. I'm a Colts fan and I can see that. I don't think this looks good. And I said back in week 1 when all you YouTube idiots were on YouTube heckling me, I said way back then, ask me halfway through the season how the Jags and Texans are doing. Because back then, you guys were writing them off when they were like 0-4 and 0-3 or some shit like that. I remember I said the exact words. Did Trevor Lawrence all suddenly just suck and I was unaware of this? Did Stroud all suddenly just become a bad quarterback and I was unaware of this? Was Travis Etienne all suddenly just a bad running? These guys are younger than the majority of the Indianapolis Colts team. Like, they are the future QBs of the league. What, they just fell off a cliff and terrible all of a sudden? Why did anyone think back in week 1, 2s, and 3s and 4s that the Colts were going to run away with a division that had at least 2 stud teams with stud quarterbacks in them? It's not logical. They struggled out the gate. Yeah. But guess what? The Jags are tied for first, essentially, with the Colts. Hell, I would say technically they're all 3 tied. Because the Texans are only one win away from it. That's the reality. It defies logic. And I said way back then, talk to me at the halfway point. We're at the halfway point, guys. And all suddenly, it looks like the Colts are a sinking ship. And those guys are on the fucking rise. And that's just the reality. Talk to you later. Bye.